Good afternoon, everyone. We'll start our session. So, today's topic we are going to deal with respect to your fourth module according to your syllabus, that is related to your data link layer. Your entire data link layer, physical layer is finished. With respect to the physical layer, we have addressed all the details of it, like how the signals will be available, what is the transmission medium, how best we can use it, every detail of it, we have seen it. So, that is the end of your physical layer till module 3. Module 2 to module 3, it is based on your physical layer itself. Whereas with respect to your module 4, it is related to your data link layer. In the data link layer, when you just come across, if I just try to annotate it, yeah, just draw a box. This is your physical layer. Just now we finished. So this is we have finished this. Now we are moving to the next particular layer. First layer is finished. Second layer is data link layer. Okay. This data link layer is completely divided into two parts. Data link layer is completely divided into two parts. One first part is called as data link control. Second part is called as media or medium access control. So your data link layer, entire data link layer is divided into two parts. One is data link control, another one is medium or media access control. So these two parts, that is what we'll be just going to study in the entire fourth module, as well as few other topics are there. So with respect to data link layer, these two are very, very important. So data link control as well as medium or media access control. So we'll go one by one. This is how your data link layer is all about. Okay. So here, see here, data link control. That's what we are just aiming to study in this first particular part of your module 4. So it has been categorized under data link control, media access control, data link layer itself, followed by IPv4 addressing and subnetting is also attached to it. So this comes under your networking layer, not with respect to your data link layer. Data link layer with respect to the first three topics. Okay, there are so many several subtopics that is available. In the data link control, we are going to see what is data link control services is all about. What are all the protocols that it will be having, and one specific type of protocol, that is point-to-point protocol, is also will be just dealing with it. So that's all. We are just looking into the data link control. We'll just quickly move to the next slide. Next slide says that you have a data link control part in the data link layer. What is this data link control is based on? So it will be consisting of data link services, data link control services, followed by the protocols that it will be using. What for it is used? What is data link layer? Data link layer is used for checking whether the data whichever has been arrived from the network layer in the sender part, after that it need to be arranged it properly, or it need to make it as a small pieces of data. Whatever the data that has been arrived, it need to be cut short and it need to be transmitted to the physical medium. So that is happening with respect to your sender part. At the receiver part, from the physical layer, the data should be accessible enough. With respect to that, it need to just once again, it need to push the data to the network layer. This is what the thing that you'll be having it over there. So during the data analysis, you need to take care about the flow, the amount of flow that it can flow from the sender to the receiver. What are all that? How many data bits that it can allow, or whether it can allow 1 byte or 1 bit, or how much. That is very important. That is flow control should be taken care with respect to your data link layer, followed by error need to be addressed properly. So these three things are very, very important services that we will be just dealing with. The first one is framing. Framing is nothing but your byte or bit oriented or byte oriented. Byte means one particular byte contains 8 bits of data, whether you are sending 8 bits of data at a time or 1 bit at a time. So depending on that particular thing, we'll be just fixing it. Framing is nothing but the endpoints will just have it. That is boundary will just fix it. So that is nothing but your framing concept. Whereas with respect to that, flow control, error control are the basic services that we have with respect to your data link control. Next one is with respect to this data link control, we have two protocols available, which is for there are several categories available with respect to your noiseless and noisy channel. So with respect to noiseless, simple and stop and wait is the two protocols that we'll be using it. With respect to noisy, there are stop and wait protocol once again, stop and wait followed by automatic repeat request. That is what they will be just giving it with respect to your noisy channels. And the second one is go back and is that. The last one is selective repeat. So these three techniques comes under your noisy channels. Noiseless channel, only two particular protocols, simple and stop and wait. We are concentrating with respect to your noiseless channel. We are taking the ideal channel that we are having it. So based on that, we'll just go with it. Okay. So that's why we have taken simple and stop. Okay. So first one is framing. So we need to frame is the thing, but I need to just put a what I can say boundary of it, right? So how to put a boundary? What are all the things that it contains? What are all the information that it can carry with respect to this? So that is very important to know with respect to your frame. Process of wrapping data with certain information before sending is nothing but your framing. Wrapping up, that is, you are just hiding the data inside one more particular area and you are just sending it as it is. So what are all the things it contains? The first and the foremost is the fast starting your data link layer. Once you are saying the data link layer, means in that the packet or the frame, whatever you are saying it. So how the data will be looking like? Data will be having header followed by trailer followed by the data that is available over there, right? So the same thing here also. You just can this is nothing but your data link packet or data link frame that we have already seen. This is called as frame. But to this, we have a lot of data available over there, right? This is called as frames. That's what I'm saying. Instead of writing it with respect to this, yeah, this is frame according to us. But an additional thing has been attached to this particular frame, whatever we have analyzed with respect to your OSI reference model as well as TCP model. So what is that? That is nothing but your flag. What for flag is needed? See, we will be sending lot of bits or lot of byte of data, block of data will be sending it from one end to another. So where that particular frame has been started, where it has been ended. For just recognizing it, we require this additional bit called as a flag bit. Flag bit will be used for addressing whether where it has been started, where the frame has been started, where the frame has been ended. So whenever you want to put a frame, you'll be putting the boundaries, right? The boundaries are nothing but your flags. So this is where it started, this is where it ended. So with respect to all corners, it will be the same. So in this, whatever you write it, that will be nothing but your data that is available or the frame that is available with respect to your entire data link layer process. So inside this, you'll be having header followed by the data followed by the trailer. So HDT, it will be in the format of header data, which is of variable length. We don't know exactly how much length it will be. Based on your particular protocol, it will be decided. Last one is the trailer part. So what are all these things that indicates? So in the flag, it always indicates the start and end of the frame. So it will be always there at the each one of the corner. That is starting as well as ending. Next one is header. Header contains source or destination addresses as well as other control information. What are all the type of controlling that you want to have it with respect to that particular data? So each and everything along with the source and destination address, it will be available in the header part. Whereas with respect to your data that has been reached that has been attached from the upper layer is network. From the network layer, along with the network header, it will be attached and it will be sent to the data link layer. In the data link layer, it will be attaching header as well as trailer. Along with it, the flag will be attached. The trailer is used for error detection and correction code, which we have seen it in the previous classes. So either CRC you can use it, cyclic redundancy check, or else you can go with checksum, or else you can go with the linear block codes or block codes, whichever is easy for us or better for the network availability, we can just go with it. So it is not necessary that you need to follow this one particular rule itself. Okay. So with respect to that, the framing, what the frame contains, what are all the things that you need to just remember it. That's all with respect to this framing concept. Yeah, we'll just continue. The next one is with respect to your framing, there are two types of framing that you can just make it. One is with respect to your byte, another one is with respect to your bit. So byte in the sense it will be having 8 bits of data. So 8 bits of data you will be sending it in a block of data. You just send it. It's also called as character oriented protocol also with respect to your byte oriented. With respect to your bit oriented, it will be having the bits that you can transmit at a time. So that is how it will be just generating your bit and byte oriented protocols. There is a concept called as stuffing. Okay, you have analyzed that you have a um, data of 20 bytes need to be sent. Out of that, from the upper layer, that is from the uh, network layer, you will be getting only 15 bytes of data. Remaining 5 bytes you need to just adjust it. For that, you require byte stuffing. So 5 bytes. If you are having bits means then bit stuffing. So what you are doing, you are just adding extra byte whenever there is an escape or a flag character in the data. That means escape means coming out of it, /t or /n or something like that. So or else you are saying that that is the end of that particular thing. At that particular point of time, what we'll be doing is we'll be adding some extra byte wherever it is necessary over there. So that what is going to happen is data from the upper layer, that is data from the network layer. They have given one scenario, data from the upper layer, that is nothing but network layer, data is available. Now, you have a flag followed by escape, which is available from the upper layer. So before this particular flag, you will be attaching one particular byte called as escape. Similarly, with respect to your escape character, wherever is that, before that, you are just attaching one more. So it will be just taken care with respect to it. So why it is necessary? Because of two things can be there. One is we don't have enough amount of data to be available over that. So based on that, you will be stuffing it, or else some of the sequences will be just missing or will be not concentrating what it is going on. So just because of it, we'll just add this. When we are stuffing it, normally whenever we have an escape sequence or flag character that is available. Whenever the flag character or the escape flag is nothing but starting and ending, that is with respect to your frames. So here there is a different scenario. So the flag and escape sequence is coming from the above particular layer itself. We have not introduced in our particular framing concept. The entire data is containing that. So just to identify it, we will be introducing one more escape sequence before this particular flag. So before this particular escape, it is escape. So it is as good as, okay, I'll just try to annotate it if possible. Yeah. What is this actually? Backslash n, backslash t, followed by, yeah, backslash n, backslash t. That is more than enough. What is this backslash n? New line character. That is an escape character, right? So if I want to print as backslash n itself, then what I'll do is I'll attach one more particular line. This is what we call as escape or extra byte stuffing that we are having it. Understanding it? So it will be displaying in a particular sequence or in a programming language where slash n is remembered as new line character. We will be just if you want to print it as slash n itself, then it will be a different scenario. For that, one more backslash will be using it. What is that? It is an escape sequence. Just to avoid that saying that it is an escape sequence, we will be adding one more backslash. So if it will be printing, the value will be slash n will be printed. No special meaning, directly take. For that particular type of thing, we need to have this sequence. Understanding it? This is nothing but your stuffing. Bit stuffing, similar thing. So with respect to your frame that has been sent, whatever the thing is that, so 2 bytes or 2 bits of data, you're just attaching it. Here, whenever a particular sequence need to be added, at that time 0 will be added at the end. What is a 0? 0 is nothing but it will be having no meaning at all. So if you add all the particular bits also, that is modular arithmetic, if you perform it also, the value will never be changing. In that particular manner, you need to just add it. Understanding it? So that is how it will be just bit has been stuffing as well as unstuffing will be happening with respect to your frame sent as well as frame received. Why we need to go for stuffing? Process of adding extra bit to ensure flag sequences does not appear in the data. So flag or escape sequence or whichever the special meaning is that should be avoided, means then we will be going for stuffing. So that particular stuffing as well as unstuffing will not harm our entire, so that it will not harm our entire particular data that has been sent from the upper layer to the lower layer, from the lower layer to the upper layer when it is the receiver. So that's why we will be just using the byte stuffing or bit stuffing concept. Next one is flow control and error control. Very important, flow control. Why we require flow control? What is the need of flow control? Flow control means what actually? Okay, so I'll give you a simple example. So you have organized an event. The event starts at 6 o'clock. So you have only one gate that is that for entering into the auditorium, and for going out of the auditorium also you need to use the same particular door itself. One entry, one exit. Okay. So the capacity of the auditorium is 1,000 seat capacity, and the ticket will be also ticket is not numbered. So just they will be issuing 1,000 tickets. That's it. So the count is 1,000 ticket. That's it. With respect to the 1,000 ticket, anybody can sit anywhere. Now, if you open the door by 5:55, how you can? What is a scene that you can just see it over there? Everybody will be quarreling, and they will be just uh, trying to get into the auditorium just to take the seat, right? That's the simple example I'll give you. Another example that I can give you over here is, if you enter to the class, those who come first, always they will be filling the seat from the last bench. They will never move to the first bench. Understanding it? No seating arrangement. So who comes first, they can occupy the last bench. Those who come late, they will be coming to sit in the front benches, which is empty. Understanding it? From the last front benches. I'm not talking about from the first row itself. I'm talking about from the last bench, front row. After that particular row, whichever is not filled, they will be just sitting. So this is a scenario. Now, if I ask you to enter the classroom at a time, how it will be? If I ask you all the fellows to just enter to the auditorium, all 1,000 students or 1,000 participants or 1,000 um, persons to enter to the auditorium, means how it happens? Lot of quarreling, lot of things will go on, right? So just to avoid it, we require flow control. So we need to keep one particular fellow over there. They need to check the ticket. Depending on the ticket, whether it is available or not, I need to just allow them to go and sit in the right proper place. Examination will not do in the as we are in the regular manner. How you will come to the college and how you will be occupying the seat? No way. We'll give you the seating arrangement. Based on the seating arrangement, you need to go and set up. That is how the flow control will be taken care. So why? The reason is you may set anywhere. There is a chance of unknowingly somebody has kept the set. You may be caught. All those particular things may happen. That is in the worst case scenario with respect to the examination point of view. The other point of view, if you are talking about months, so anybody can go and set anywhere. There may be chances of some misbehaving can happen over there. So just to avoid it, they'll be just cutting down. So and depending on that, they'll be arranged. They will be making sure that the whole event will be running smoothly. The same manner with respect to the examination, everything works fine. That's what the thing that we need to just go with it. Only thing is the incoming and the outgoing should be controlled. That is nothing but your flow control. Error, no mischievous or unwanted behavior should happen inside once you enter. That is what your error control is all about. Flow is getting in and going out. Why it is necessary? Because it will be a rush. So many things will happen over there. Just to avoid it, you require flow control. See here, there are a lot of data that is available that will be fed from the upper layer to the lower layer, and then it will be transmitted to the transmission medium to the other side of the transaction. But while transmitting, what is the size of the bit? So, okay, can I transmit 32 bits at a time so that I can just transmit all that particular 32 bits in one single milliseconds or seconds or any particular time? During the same time, can I transmit all the particular data? Or should I wait for a certain amount of time? Then I need to transmit it. For that, flow control comes in. Very important thing. So a set of procedures that tells the sender how much data can be sent before waiting for the acknowledgement. So that is what you'll be giving. You'll be showing your admission ticket. Once the admission ticket is shown, along with that, the seating arrangement will be there. With respect to that seating arrangement, if your register number is available, then only you can enter and go and sit in the respective bench. Otherwise, you are not supposed to allow. You are not supposed to get into the room itself, right? So if your register number is missing, then you need to report to the examination superintendent. So they will be giving you some suggestions. Based on the suggestions, you can just get into the room, or you will be allotted, and then only you can just come across with respect. So acknowledgement is very important. Without acknowledgement, I cannot go and check or transact the other data. So very important thing. So I need to wait for a certain amount of time. So one simple thing that has been given here is flow control at the data link layer. This is at the sender node. This is at the receiver node. Only with respect to data link layer I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the physical layer or transmission layer. From this, the producer, the frames will be pushed to the other particular area. Once it is that, so the acknowledgement will be written back to the sending node. Once the acknowledgement is written back, then you can just transmit as many data as you can. Each particular bit that you are transmitting it, you need to require to get an acknowledgement. Without that, you cannot move further. Whether you get an acknowledgement for the first subject when you enter the examination hall, it is not necessary that you need to take once again the acknowledgement for the rest of the subjects. You need to take it, right? That's what it is. So one subject, one time acknowledgement. Second time, second subject. Second subject, second time, once again you need to get that. For each one of it, you need to get the acknowledgement, then only you need to go and set that. And it is not the rest of the things. The randomizing, all those things will come to see with respect to your medium access control protocol. So that's where it will be just deal with. So don't worry much about it. Okay. Next one is error control. In that includes both error detection as well as correction. Error control using two methods. If the frame is corrupted, I'm not talking about the bits or a single byte. I'm talking about the frame. The frame can be 8-bit or 16-bit or 20-bit or 25-bit, whatever it may be. Here it depends. Okay. So depending on that, so here we have two different types of methods available for error control, detecting as well as correcting. Okay. So if the frame is corrupted, it is silently discarded. If it is not corrupted, the packet is delivered to the network layer. at the receiver end, if the frame is corrupted, like whatever the method that you want to apply, you apply it. Whether you apply a CRC or your checksum, whichever the thing that you want, you can just apply it. So with respect to that, if you find that the syndrome is 0, then you accept it. Accept it and send it to the next layer, above layer. Otherwise, silently discard. Next one is, if the frame is corrupted, it is silently discarded. If the frame is not corrupted, then it will be waiting for the acknowledgement that need to be coming from the sender part. So this is how it need to be available. Okay, so one, deliver it to the without waiting anybody, you just deliver it. Other one is you wait for some particular time so that acknowledgement will be received. Once the acknowledgement is received, then you just go with the next type of data that you will be transmitting. So this is how it will be done. So as I told you, for your protocols, data link layer protocols, two things: noiseless channel, noisy channel. In the noiseless channel, simplest followed by stop and wait. So for noisy channel, stop and wait, go back and selective repeat, selective automatic repeat request will be that. ARQ is nothing but automatic request, automatic repeat request. What is automatic repeat request? So you will be not waiting for anybody to tell you need to send it once again, send it once again, send it once again. Once the acknowledgement is not received, it will transmit once again. So it will be done by the sender automatically. So that's what your automatic repeat request is all about. So don't worry much about it because we are not going to concentrate on that particular topic at all. So next one is with respect to your noisy channel, the data link layer protocol, what it supports is simple protocol. What is a simple protocol is that? It's a noiseless, as I told you, it's an error free. That means no extra things will be attached to it. It's a non-realistic. As per my knowledge, it's a non-realistic. You cannot have a signal which is a noiseless. But still, for an ideal communication, for an ideal channel, for theoretical basis, we'll use this particular noiseless channel. No need for error control. Why? No error, no extra bits has been attached, so nothing, no need to worry about it. So it will be transmitted as it is. So no error control is needed for it. So sender from that, get the data from the network layer, just frame that with respect to your byte framing or bit framing with respect to your data link layer, and then send it to the physical layer. From the physical layer, it will be transmitted to the other particular side of the channel. Using the channel, it will be transmitted. Once it receives at the physical layer of the end part, so it will be transmitted to the data link layer. The frames, once again, it will be checking for the error. Error will not be that, so do not to be worried too much. It will be sent to the, it will be delivered to the upper layer, that is network layer. So it is very easy, simple protocol. Get the data, send it as it is. That's it. No need to worry about any other. With respect to your simple protocol, we will be having some state transition diagrams, which is nothing but your finite state machine diagrams. So with respect to that, we need to know certain things. So which state you belong to currently, followed by what has made to change from that particular, what has made it to change from one particular state to another state. What is the transition that is, what is the change that you are going to happen. So what is the thing currently you are in, that is describing your state, and changes if you want to make it, that is transition if you want to make it, means then something should happen, that is nothing but your event. So with respect to this particular three terminologies, we'll be just writing one diagram based on it, that is called as finite state machine diagram. So using, if the system is at the starting point, that is it is ready to accept or to just send any to accept any particular data from the upper layer. So once it is done, it will be just try to accept and it keep quiet in the same particular layer itself until and unless transaction will be ended. It will be just doing the same task. At the receiver, same thing. It will be at the start and deliver the packet to the network layer and keep it at the same particular position. So for ready for receiving the other particular data that has been arrived from the sender part. So like that, it will be just available. Some pseudocode has been written. Pseudocode is not the actual code. It is just if you adopt this in any imperative language that you know, that is in whichever the language, high level language that you know, you can program it. Okay, so this is just a pseudocode. It's not the exact program that we have written. So we have sender as well as receiver, right? What is the job of the sender? While true. What is that while true? Always it is accepted, or always it will be entering to that particular loop. So it keeps on waiting for that particular data that it will be happening. So whenever you want to perform a infinite loop, then we'll be just going with while true. Understand it? So it will be always ready for sending the data. So that's what we have. So then wait for the event. What is that event? Event is nothing but ready. Once it is there, need to push the data. If it is not ready, keep that particular thing. So for that particular thing, we require this wait for event. Once the event has occurred, if the event is request to send, that is what event, whatever you are saying it, it is request to send, get the data, make the frame, send the frame. That's it. Just wait for sir. Wait for the another particular data to come. At the receiver, the same thing. While true, with respect to wait for the event, it is arrival of that particular notification or any other particular type of event will be occurring. Means it will be just waiting for that particular event. If the event is arrival notification, then receive the frame, extract the data, deliver the data to the next layer, that is above layer. This is what the pseudocode that you will be just following it, or if you follow the same particular code once, then it is okay. What is wait for event, sir? Wait for event in that any particular event can happen. That is not ready, ready in the sense request to send, or else it may be waiting for the acknowledgement. Anything can happen. So that is nothing but here waiting for event at the sender part. At the receiver part, waiting for the arrival notification. Yes, if the arrival notification is true, then take an action. Otherwise, till that time, you just keep on waiting or keep on busy in the ready state itself. That's what it will be saying. So simple protocol flow diagram, if you want to have it, means it will be the data will be flown from sender A to receiver B. So frames will be requested from sender A, arrival at the B. Once that particular frame is there, always will be requesting, you'll be just keeping. So thinking that no acknowledgement is needed for it. This is simple protocol. The second one is, so without waiting for an acknowledgement, if you transmit, something wrong happens in between. Say for example, your second particular request, whatever you are sending it, so it got failed. It got failed in the middle and it has not been delivered properly. Your B cannot say that, yes, we have lost the second packet, please send it once again. No, it is not possible with respect to a simple protocol, because it's an ideal protocol where everything works fine. No type of error is available in that particular type of protocol. So you may lose certain amount of data in between due to some other constraint, maybe the network failure, or maybe the transmission medium that you are using, maybe it may be failed, that is a wired or wireless, whatever it may be, it may fail. Many things is happening here only. Live examples I can give you. Many of the times I'm seeing that so many people have left and joining it. Left has joining it. What is that particular thing is all about? It is because of the poor communication or poor connection that you are having at your end or at my end. Because of that, you will be feeling that you are leaving the classroom as well as you are entering to the classroom. So this happens. Understanding it? So when it happens, at that time, I need to get an acknowledgement. How I got that particular thing, whether who has left it and who has entered over here, I'll get a name over there. So some register number has left, or the same register number has been joining to the classroom. So that's what the acknowledgement is very, very important. That will be achieved in the next protocol, that is called a stop and wait protocol. It is still the noiseless channel itself. I'm not saying it we are going with the noisy channel, we are going with the noiseless channel. That is the ideal channel only, we are just going with it. Here the receiver has limited buffer. Why this particular buffer is needed? Just to have the flow control. See, until and unless the acknowledgement is received from the other end, you cannot transmit the other data. You need to hold that particular data for a certain amount of time. So for that, buffer is very, very important to have. Receiver has a limited buffer, requires flow control. Understanding it? Why it is requiring flow control? Because a very small amount of space is available. If the data comes in a very large means, then that should be handled properly. For that particular reason, you require flow control, because packet A is also already sent, packet B is sent, packet C is sent. Now packet A is received at that particular end. your particular buffer size is somewhere around 100 MB. If the packet A is taking 100 MB, packet B is again sent, but it has been lost. Don't worry. Packet C is sent and it has been taken care with respect to saying that 50 MB of data is having with it. Now 100 MB should be cleared. Until and unless you won't clear the 100 MB, you will be not having that 50 MB of data to be addressed in the buffer. So that's why you need to be very careful. Why that particular time? For transmission, you require certain amount of time. So just because of it, a buffer need to be added at the receiver. That's what they are saying. Once that is done, the sender, and it should be waiting for the other packet to also send it. Packet A is received, packet B is not received, packet C is received. But packet B, once again, I need to transmit it. Somehow packet B in between, wherever the connection has been lost, once again it has been reconnected. So packet B will be sent. Previous packet B, whatever you are sending it, it will be reached to the destination, as well as now whatever you are sending it as a new one, that will also be available. So it will be duplication. So that's also very important thing to know it. All these things will be taken care with respect to your flow control. Understanding it now? So sender sends one frame at a time and wait for the acknowledgement. Sender job is sending one particular frame and keeping quiet for a certain amount of time. Once the acknowledgement is received, timer is off. Next, once again, I'll just transmit it. If that particular acknowledgement is not received in the stipulated amount of time, then I'll say that I need to retransmit it. I'll automatically decide that and I'll just transmit it once again. That's what you call as automatic repeat request coming to picture. So with respect to this, there is no such thing. So sender will send it, keep quiet for a certain amount of time. Once the acknowledgement is received, get ready the other packet, send it to the other end. So in the like this, the transaction will be happening. So this is a small particular scenario that has been given over here. One is at the sender end, another one is at the receiver end. In the sender end, the data, whatever the data link layer, the data will be attached now. So it will be just, it's a duplex, full duplex you can say. The logical link is full duplex. That means one particular area is for sending, another area is for receiving. So both the things is available. So your frame will be transmitted to the other end along with the acknowledgement of the previous particular frame. It will be transmitted. Your frame will be containing the last bit as CRC. CRC is nothing but error control. So with respect to that, it will be just attaching. It will be just sending the data. Once it has been received to the receiver end, it will be taking care about that particular CRC bit. It will check it. Everything is working fine. It will accept it. Otherwise, it will reject over there. Once it accepts, it will send that particular packet to the upper layer. Otherwise, it will reject over there. Whichever the okay, now you have received your packet. For that particular packet, the acknowledgement should be ready, right? So you have sent the packet, I have received it. That's what the acknowledgement that I need to say it. See, somebody has left from your end. I got an acknowledgement saying that somebody has left. So the name or the number, your university seat number is been there. The message has been displayed at my particular end. So that is how the acknowledgement will be working. So acknowledgement will be taken. Timer should be having. Understanding it? Stop and wait. That's what it says. Yeah. With respect to your finite state machine, at the sending node, data should be ready. Whatever the data is there from the upper end, it need to be try to accept it in the data link layer. Once it is accepted, next particular thing is it need to take all the data and it need to transmit one particular frame at a time, not all. So remaining one, it need to block until and unless when it should how much time it should be holding that particular remaining packets in that till the acknowledgement is received from the other end. Till the acknowledgement is received from the other end for the first frame, it need to be blocking the entire particular packet and then it need to transmit it. Next, at the receiver end, it should be in the ready state. Once it is in the ready state, if the corrupted frame is arrived, you need to discard and you need to keep it ready. If the error-free frame is available, then also you need to accept it to send it to the other particular higher layers and it need to wait for the rest of the packets or rest of the frames that is available and send the acknowledgement as well as it need to wait for it. Understand? So this gives you a clear-cut picture of how this particular thing works. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll quickly take a short break, 10 minutes break, and we'll just continue our particular session. after 10 minutes. Okay, so quickly 10 minutes, I'll just take a break and then we'll just reassure.